This door is, sometimes it doesn't stay shut, sometimes it doesn't open. There it goes. And if it doesn't stay shut, I just prop it shut with a piece of wood. And if it doesn't open, I just work it until it does. Now here's the big deal breaker, and this one is for everybody. This is your firebox here, and you can access it. This one actually has 3 access points to it because it was both coal and wood. If you have one that's both coal and wood, and you know if you have one that's coal because it'll have a coal chute on the side. This is the old coal chute. And then you'd have your coal bucket here and a little flat shovel that you would shovel coal into it. Now coal burns a lot hotter than wood. So if you're going to using coal in a wood burning oven will shorten the life of the oven, of the stove. It will make it not last as long. So my recommendation is to not use coal, but of course that's up to you. But anyway, so this one has 3 accesses. It's got the coal chute here, which I have many times fed wood through. Not many times, I've only had it for a short period of time. But I have another stove that has a coal chute as well, and I've used that to feed wood through. Then it also has your front door here, and that is, I don't know why I'm using, and that is, that's where you can feed wood through while you're cooking. And as you can see, these burners are right above the firebox, so this is your high. This is where your hottest temperature is going to be. And then again, the further away you get, so this is your medium and that's your low. So, and then most, in fact, I've never seen a stove that doesn't have it, but I don't want to say all because somebody will be like, mine doesn't, has access to it from the top. And if you can see here, let me just show you here incomplete. See how this one has no, the centerpiece is complete. It's not a separate piece, and again over here, but if you look over here over the firebox, it is. Now, so it is a separate piece. So then we just move these pieces off, and there's access. Let me keep showing you guys what I'm doing. And there's access to your fire from the top. I usually start the fire from the top, and then I feed it through the front. Some newbies are so big on, oh, the front door is what you use. I saw this one woman who, she's like, oh, I bought this thing and I'm going to use the front door. I don't do it from the top. And once you've done this a million times and you don't care anymore, you load it from the top. So you get your newspaper and your kindling and your slightly bigger chunks and then your bigger chunks, and you do it from the top. And then from there on, once you get it going, then you work from the front door here. So, but this is your firebox, and your firebox is the heart of the stove. And so you want to make sure that this is in good shape. And that's the thing you check the most. You're going to get your hands dirty, so you run around and you touch all the sides, see if there's any warping to it, see if there's any holes. That's the big thing. If you have fire bricks, this one has fire bricks, make sure they're not cracked. You can buy replacement fire bricks, but if you have a cracked one, if you're seeing a cracked one, make sure you can, because every firebox is a different size, every firebox is a different shape. This is a smallish to medium sized firebox. And that's the other thing too, is when you're getting a firebox, know how big it is, because that's how big your wood's going to be. You can't, if you've only got a 14-inch firebox, you certainly do not want 17-inch long wood, or else it's not going to fit. You're going to have problems. So, check your whole. So you check have your firebox. We have this tool that has this little square opening on the side, and down here you have this nut that sticks out, and that square opening fits right over the top, and this dumps your grates. It keeps the grates clean. This one here particularly has, you can turn these grates, and this is, if you have the grates like this, that's what you use for heating with coal, because this grate is thicker and heavier, because coal, of course, is hotter than wood. But you want to make sure your grates come back together again, and that they move pretty easy, because else you're going to have a bear of a time keeping your stove clean. Check your firebox. Get your fingers dirty. If you can, if you're allowed to, start a fire in the firebox. Make sure that there's not smoke going out the side, or worse, flames going out the side of the firebox. This is the heart of your stove. Everything else you can jerry-rig, cobble together. except for the base. The base is the other thing I wouldn't jerry-rig, but you can make it work. Everything else, if you're getting an inexpensive stove. And for me, all the little, like the door here on this, that's just one of the quirks of the stoves. And having 11 of them, all of my stoves have quirks. And maybe I'll take you around and show you each of them and show you my quirks. And for me, they're like, well, all fire is part of the living universe to me. So anything that works with fire, these are living friends that help me get through. So when you're buying one, this is your firebox. This is the heart of your stove. Make sure this is in good shape. From there on, and the base for me is another big thing, but from there on, you can make do with whatever. So we're going to talk about a couple more things, but I'm going to put these back on here. Let me grab my tools. In fact, we'll talk about the tools here in a minute. Now when you're buying these things, sometimes one of these will be missing. A lot of people will be like, oh, I can't. Well, you can usually find replacements for the burners. The burners can usually be replaced, but if you're looking at one and it is missing a burner, make sure you can replace it, okay? First of all, make sure you can, and then don't pay extra for a stove that you might be missing a piece out of. So, know how much it costs, and maybe even say to the person that you're buying it from, hey, did you take into account that you're missing the burner or one of the pieces, because I'm going to have to pay for that piece, okay? So, some other things that you need, or that are about the stove, is the chimney. This chimney is both I have a single wall in the back because that's how they were designed to be. The single wall helps heat up the warming oven. So I have a single wall, and then you can see the chimney suddenly gets bigger right here. That's a double wall. That's more for my protection. I like the double wall. They even come with triple walls, but that's so that I have insulation. Those chimneys get very, very hot, and if you've been running the stove for a very long time, they can actually get red hot. And if you see, I've got this here. This is cement board. That's because I wanted my stove up pretty close to the oven. So the cement board is to protect from the single wall down. Now above the single wall, we have the double wall. I don't have any cement board there, so it works really well for that. So chimney, make sure your chimney fits. They are usually 6 or 8 inch for a stove, for one of these stoves. I have seen as little as 4 inches. 4-inch pipe would make me really nervous when it comes to one of these stoves, because I would be pretty sure the stove, some of that smoke might back up into my house. I want at least a 6 or an 8-inch pipe for that, for the chimney. And how you get your smoke to go up your chimney is, right at this moment, this is set for going up the chimney. This is what's called your draft, and it slides back and forth, like so. So when you pull this, when it's all the way open, this means your smoke is going, your flames, your heat are going directly up your chimney. So you got your firebox going. Now you need this in the beginning because you need a draft. Oxygen, especially at the beginning, fire, especially at the beginning, needs a lot of oxygen. And you want that oxygen to be coming through. So you have your vent over here, and this is the vent here, and you slide that. That's closed, obviously. That's open. If you close everything down on this stove, you will smother the fire. So you start with your vent open, and then you you have your damper open. Then after your heat starts getting built up, then you close your damper down. I usually do it somewhat slowly. I do it by halves. I do it, well, about half, and then a little bit later I do it the rest of it. Now your heat is circulating. It's going around your oven. It's instead of going straight up the chimney. Let me lift this one up here. You can see that. You can see the ash here. The flame comes up and it circles around your oven a little bit here. So this oven has been well used. The stove has been well used for the short period of time it's been here. So that's your damper. You want to make sure that works as well too. So when you're buying one, check that out. Again, this is something that usually, as long as it's not broken, if the damper is missing, you can either repair this, or you can actually put a damper on your chimney that it's a little turner thing, and when it's open, the heat goes straight up, and as you close it down, then the heat stays down below. So let's see. What else? We got the damper. You've had the vent. Talk about the firebox. Over on this side, this here is what's called a water reservoir. It's meant to heat water. Remember, these stoves were used before there was turn the faucet on and the water heater kicks in and suddenly you have hot water. You had to heat your own water up, and a lot of them had these reservoirs. If you have one and the stove predates 1975, I might even go up to 1978, don't use it without putting a new liner in. I have a new liner coming for this one, a stainless steel liner. They were made out of lead. I have seen some made out of copper. Again, that's up to you if you want to use that, but copper was soldered with lead. Lead was used a lot back then because that's what we had. So you can have a stainless steel one made. A lot of places that work in fireplaces or stoves will make you one. They just need the measurements of your water tank there. So get your measurements and have a stainless steel one made, and that's what I'm having, and then I'll have that put in, and then I'll have a place to boil water. Obviously, until then, I've got my big 2.5 gallon pot here, basically, and I've also got my steamer here. This is something that it's a learning experience. When you cook with one of these stoves, you're not spot heating. You heat the whole stove up. The whole thing is all heated up. So, if you're baking bread, you've also got all of your top burners heated up. Okay? So, my daddy, who was a swamp rat, used to say, never waste a fire. And that meant you always had water sitting next to a fire. If you have fire either for ambiance or for baking bread or to stay warm, you put water next to it. Here's the thing. In this modern day world, we are so used to turning that hot water tap and hot water comes out. But hot water in real life, not in this modern day over the rainbow world that we've created, is not instantaneous. It takes a bit to heat water up to hot. And you'll never know when you need it. So you always have water sitting on or near fire. It is the mark of somebody who knows about survival, knows about living not in this modern world. And that's what these reservoirs are for. Not every stove has one. Don't worry if yours doesn't, especially since if it was pre-1975, it's probably mostly lead lined, and then you're going to have to pay another about $75 for a steel liner anyway.